What is up, YouTube, and welcome back to another live stream on High Altitude Investing. Today is the 29th of January, 2026. Decided to hop on and do a live stream today, even though normally I do them on Fridays, because a lot of people are probably wondering what to do with their crypto because we're pulling back a little bit. In the short term, there's people freaking out because of a potential government shutdown and a whole bunch of reasons that people are kind of freaking out. So I figured, you know what? Time to do a crypto live stream and talk about my personal views on the crypto markets, because there's going to be a lot of opinions right now, especially a lot of people calling for downward movement. So let's start off with Bitcoin here. By the way, welcome everybody. Hope you guys are enjoying your Wednesday. And yeah, so let's get started. So Bitcoin pulled back a little bit further here, down below the support level. The immediate support level that we were looking at previously, which was 85,000 per coin, and now we're down to 83,000 per Bitcoin. So we dropped about $2,000 off of our lower support level and came down to our next major area of support. Now, technically, Bitcoin is still on support. So if you guys don't know, Bitcoin is currently on major support. We have all of this support right here for Bitcoin. Let's take our rectangle tool. This is our major support area, and we're on support currently. So, you know, a good technical analysis book will always tell you to buy support and to sell resistance, right? So this is not a good place to to sell your crypto, because this is really where you should be buying, because we're on a major support level with Bitcoin right now here at 83K. So as tempting as it is with the pullback in the short term, with people worried about a government shutdown, with a lot of people, just freaking out and switching bearish in general right now, the worst thing that you can do is sell onto major support. That's where you should be buying, and you should be selling resistance, right? So you got to flip the script in your mind and do opposite of what most people are doing, which most people are selling for a multitude of reasons. Some people are going to be selling right now because of the potential government shutdown. Other people are going to be selling just because of the bear flag pattern and assuming that we're going to get downward continuation based on that pattern. So there's a lot of reasons that people are justifying their selling right now, but if you want to really get good at TA, you want to break things down as simple as possible, and remember to buy support and to sell resistance. And realistically, Bitcoin is on horizontal support right now. This is not an area where it makes a lot of sense to sell. It's actually a pretty good risk to reward ratio for buying or to be holding on to your crypto. Jeremy, what is up, my friend? Thank you for tuning in. It's always good to see you tuning into these live streams. Jason says, what's up? Bought some more Dogecoin on the dip. Crypto is looking tasty right now. Yeah, I agree. Crypto looks good. People don't realize the opportunity as usual. Again, people get very, very stuck on this whole idea of, freak out if there's a breakdown of a bear flag, or freak out if the government's going to shut down, or freak out if China's going to ban Bitcoin, or there's always like some reason that people want to sell their crypto in the dip. And fact of the matter is, Bitcoin is in a dip right now. I mean, let's just remove all our drawing tools and just focus on the immediate move, right? So Bitcoin is in a dip. We peaked out at 126K right here, came all the way down to 80,000 per coin. So Bitcoin is in a dip, right? We're in a dip on Bitcoin. Just like we were right here. And in those dips, everybody always wants to find some justifiable reason in their mind, some reason to sell their crypto and have it be a reason that they believe is a good reason, right? Some justifiable cause for them to sell their crypto in the dip. But it never turns out, it never works out for them. Sometimes people will sell in a dip and then it will go a little bit lower, and they'll be like, oh, look, see, I was right. I sold. I knew I should have sold. But then Bitcoin always recovers. I mean, if you look at the big picture here with Bitcoin, it's recovered from every single correction that it's ever made. It's like the Dow Jones. Go look at the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones has seriously recovered from every single correction that it's ever been through. If you look at the Dow Jones, even the Great Depression was just a blip in the chart in the big picture. This is the Great Depression right here on the Dow Jones. Big crash, right? Big reason for people to sell. A lot of economic heartache during this period of time. A lot of reasons people would have been selling their stocks, freaking out. But really, this correction here, if you zoom out on the Dow Jones, the Great Depression is really just a blip in the chart at this point. Like it's not that big of a drop compared to the amount of growth that has come on the Dow Jones. So this is also true for crypto. This is not just something that's a stock thing. This is why I always emphasize to people to keep your bullish convictions. Stay focused on the big picture of what's happening with the crypto markets, because fact of the matter is Bitcoin is going to continue to behave like the Dow Jones. It's going to keep recovering from all of the corrections that it has. And you might be the person that's smart enough to sell, and then it goes lower, and then you're able to buy the dip. But statistically, you probably won't be. Statistically, you'll probably sell in a dip where it's actually the bottom, and then the market will recover. So you got to work with statistics and probabilities in your favor if you really want to be able to be successful in these markets. Tam Hexagon says, loving your streams, Dallin. Can you cover Hex pretty please? Sure, I'll get into that in just a second. I'm going to keep talking about Bitcoin here for a minute, and then I'll be happy to cover Hex for you. Joker Trader says, hi. Well, hello. Welcome to the live stream. Crypto Wixter says, you are echoing. Never mind, it was my fault. Oh, okay, cool. Glad it wasn't my problem. Mic up, please. My mic is working. My mic says it's working fine. So if you guys can't hear me, it's probably on your end. But just to finish talking about Bitcoin here, let's go to the 1 month time frame here on Bitcoin, okay? And let's add the volume to the chart. What most people don't realize is the crypto markets are doing the same thing that happened to the internet, okay? Everybody uses the internet. I use the internet every day. Everybody I know uses the internet every day. They use their computers every day. So that's what happens to new technologies, right? New technologies go through a phase of adoption. But early on in their trends, they're highly volatile. A lot of people, there's a lot of excitement about it, but a lot of people get wrecked because of the volatility. So new technologies have a tendency to attract a lot of people, but because of the high volatility early on, before they're mass adopted, a lot of people get shaken out. A lot of people make really bad decisions, and they end up losing a lot of money, right? Now, if you look at Apple here, here's Apple. This is the internet bubble right here. Here was 2008 for Apple. And if we look at Bitcoin, here's Bitcoin's 2017 bubble right here. And here's 2021, okay? So really what Bitcoin is doing is it's actually doing the same thing that Apple did early on in the trend. And I know you can look at this and say, oh yeah, well look at this correction, Dallin. I don't see that correction here on Apple. Well, you have to understand I'm way zoomed out here on Apple. There was that same correction. If you look right here, there is a big drop right here on Apple as it started to break out after 2008. So actually the same correction happened on Apple as well that we're currently seeing on Bitcoin. So it is really doing the same thing. But the reason I'm comparing these two charts together is to bring up volume. So if you look here on Apple, Apple has significant volume here early on in the trend. So when a big uptrend is forming like this, early on in the trend, before it goes parabolic, there's going to be a lot of volume early on. Then the volume will die off because the big institutions are buying right here. This is where the big players, the people that, have enough money to move the market, that's why they're called market makers. They're buying right here. They're buying early on in the trend. So early on in a massive uptrend, you're going to get big institutional accumulation and volume. And then the trend will continue, and then retail will basically buy the whole way up, while big institutions are slowly taking profits into all of the retail traders and all of the public and all of the everyday average people. So this is really where big institutions are getting into stuff, right? Early on. So there's always a big spike in volume early on. If you look here at Apple, there's tons of volume, tons of trading volume for Apple early on in the uptrend. If you look at Bitcoin right now, in the big picture, tons of trading volume, right? Just massive amounts of Bitcoin being traded through this whole trend. Now, what most people are thinking of is, oh, Bitcoin is just going to start a bear market like this, It's done for, it's topped out. But what the big institutions, what they see, the big institutions see what I'm showing you right now. They see Bitcoin being extremely undervalued, even at 83,000 per coin, because it's a new technology that will be used by everyday people all the time. So if you think about its market cap now versus what it will become as adoption of blockchain technology takes place, the market cap of Bitcoin is heavily undervalued, right? So what happens to Apple here is you see as the trend continues, volume actually goes down, but the price of Apple just goes straight up. So Apple is still increasing in value on low volume. Way, way lower than it was over here. So you can see how the big institutions position themselves right here. And then they're just taking profits on all of the retail money, while retail is just FOMO buying the whole way up. And, Apple can still go higher here before it tops out. But because it's increasing on no volume, at some point this is going to top out. It's not going to go up forever. Apple's stock will top out. But Bitcoin is set up to do the same thing that Apple has been doing. So what we're set up to do with Bitcoin here is we're really set up to rally in a very significant way in the big picture. So let's zoom out a little bit here with Apple and line these charts up. So imagine buying Apple like right here, okay? That's like buying Bitcoin right now. It's still got a lot of upside, a lot of juice for Bitcoin before it's done doing its thing. It's going to rise on low volume for a very long time. You're going to see the price of Bitcoin go very, very high before it's unsustainable. So the big institutions have already positioned themselves that are already here. You can see it in the volume. So that's why I say don't give up on crypto. Crypto, a lot of other technologies are more overvalued than crypto is, like AI in the short term right now. Even though AI will continue to become a bigger thing, AI is in a way bigger bubble than crypto is. Everybody's talking about AI. Crypto is really set up for that mass adoption phase. The actual technology behind crypto has been continually developed. It's actually making real progress behind the scenes while people are excited about other stuff. And really, people haven't been excited about crypto since our top in 2021. I mean, a little bit of excitement about Bitcoin as we came up to 126,000. And of course, with Donald Trump talking about Bitcoin, people got a little bit more excited. But in terms of the excitement that people had at the peak in 2021, people aren't really that excited. Now, people hear that and they think, is that a bad thing? No. You want to sell when people are excited. You want to buy when people are not even thinking about it, when people don't really have that much interest in it. In fact, to the matter, crypto, people are not really that excited about crypto right now. Not like 2021 when altcoins went crazy. You know, it's not like that. The euphoria isn't here. It's not like 2021 at all. So I'm almost done talking about Bitcoin, and then I'll talk about the requests that you guys have. But just even comparing Bitcoin to the 2017 cycle here, Bitcoin looks a lot like the 2017 cycle. And this little correction right here on Bitcoin, where Bitcoin fell from 8,000 down to 5,000, that's called a midway cool off. That's the correction that you get halfway up a market cycle. That's why it's called the midway cool off. And really, looking at Bitcoin right now, that's what's happening to Bitcoin, is we're going through the midway cool off. We already had the first pump and pullback, second pump and pullback, and now we're at that midway cool off. See the similarities there? So Bitcoin is set up for a lot more growth, you guys. In the big picture, we have a lot of growth coming for Bitcoin. In the short term, this is very easily, very possibly just a total shakeout. I know this candle looks scary. Looks like, oh no, maybe we should sell. You know, we have this red candle here on the daily. I wouldn't sell. I'm not selling. You know, it's not a good time to be getting out of the market. If anything, this is a leading diagonal Elliott wave here. So if anything, this is our first bullish impulse wave right here. Wave 1 and wave 2 before we go higher. Now, there are some alternative counts where support does fail, but I think it's pretty unlikely that this horizontal support fails on Bitcoin. Contrary to popular belief, because everybody's drawing a bear flag right now, like everybody and their mom is drawing this bear flag right here. They all think, you guys, we're just going to go straight down to 50K, you know, per Bitcoin. And it's the same exact sentiment as right here when everybody was bearish on Bitcoin here at 50K, calling for 30K. It's the exact same sentiment as back then. You know, the reason I was so bullish on Bitcoin right there is because when the whole community says it's going to do one thing, it's going to do the complete opposite of what they say. And that's exactly what we see with Bitcoin currently. But yeah, that's kind of my views. Let's talk about Hex. Tam wants me to cover Hex, so I'll cover Hex for you real fast here. Which is down a little bit in the past 24 hours, but nothing crazy. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame. I bet there's bullish divergence on Hex, and there is, so let's zoom in here. So bullish divergence is where price makes a lower low, like this. But then the indicator, whether it's the MACD, whether you're using the RSI, the indicator makes a higher low, like this. That's bullish divergence. And if you look at Hex right now, that's exactly what we see. We see a lower low in price and a higher low on the MACD. So that's bullish divergence here. And actually, we've had bullish divergence going way back even to over here. You can see we've had continuous lower lows in price, but higher lows on the MACD. So we're coiling up for a bullish reversal here on Hex. Now, in the bigger picture, in the bigger time frame, this is just a big accumulation. So think of, you know, any market in the world before it pumps is going to do some type of accumulation. Sometimes those accumulations will look like this. Sometimes they'll look more just like a classic ABC correction. But every market in the world is going to do some type of an accumulation structure before breaking out in the big picture. Now, for me, that's exactly what we see here with Hex. A big accumulation, right? And it's okay that it's volatile and kind of jaggedy like a chainsaw or like a saw blade, I mean. You know, that's totally okay to have that kind of jaggedy structure inside of an accumulation. Super common. What's important is that we have continuous volume over time. And that's exactly what we see here with Hex. The other thing that I see here as well is on the 3-day time frame, we have bullish divergence here as well. So you can see a lower low in price, a lower low, but we have this massive higher low on the MACD, so that's another big buy signal for Hex. So yeah, it looks really good. In the big picture for this coin, I expect something like this to happen, where we really get a bullish impulse wave like this, all the way up to a new all-time high, and we really start to trend up here and break out of this accumulation into an actual proper uptrend for Hex. So it looks really good. Everyone calls for 70 to 60K. Yeah, most people are calling for 50K, 60K, 70K per Bitcoin. It's pretty unlikely that that happens for Bitcoin. I know that's what most people think, but it's pretty unlikely. I don't see it happening at all. I put the probability at like maybe 10% probability that Bitcoin would ever go down to 50K in the immediate future here. This is the same thing that's happened right here. This pullback from 73K per Bitcoin down to 49K. This is just a healthy correction. Or this pullback right here. This is the same thing. Every single time that this has happened, people have been freaking out, and I've made live streams, videos, telling people, don't sell your crypto. Don't freak out. Don't sell your crypto. We're just having a healthy correction in a bull market. And that's exactly what's happening. And the thing is people want to get super bearish down here at the bottom of these pullbacks, but nobody's bearish at the top. But at the bottom, everybody that was saying, oh, I wish I could buy the dip on crypto. You know, people that are like, oh, if crypto pulled back, I would buy more. I really want to buy the dip, you know. And then a dip happens, and at the bottom of the correction, they start calling for 30K per coin or 50K per coin. Like they flipped to total bears. Like, dude, a month ago you said that you would buy the dip if one pulled back and that you wished there was one. And then all of a sudden, the pullback happens and you're a total bear. You know, that's how most people think in this market, and it's just totally ridiculous. So that's why I say if you're zoomed out here on like the daily or the weekly time frame and you see a pullback, don't become a bear. That's like the dumbest thing you could do. If you wanted to be a bear, you should have been a bear in October, you know, when we were at 127,000 per coin, not down here at 83K when Bitcoin is at a total discount. So I agree with you. Most people are calling for a correction, deeper correction. Most people will be wrong. Hello, Dallin was eagerly waiting for this live. How are you doing? Great. Could you please analyze Zen and DOT, please? Sure. Pull up old Zen here. Good old Horizon. Horizon's one I'm super bullish on. I normally don't do this, but I will say this. Horizon is one of my VIP calls. So I'm super bullish on Horizon. This is a pretty classical accumulation cycle for an altcoin. Okay. Big, massive death, just total doom and destruction, you know, coming down from $169 per coin all the way down to $8 down here. People freak out. They go, man, this thing's never going to recover again. But what they don't understand is that this is the crypto signature move. Like, this is what Bitcoin did when I first got into Bitcoin in 2015. You know, Bitcoin did the exact same thing as what Horizon is doing right now. This is what crypto does. It's called a market cycle. It's a massive pump followed by a full-blown retracement where everybody says it's dead, and then it does a full-blown recovery all the way back up to a new all-time high, which is the exact thing that nobody thinks is going to happen. Nobody thinks you're going to get a full-blown recovery all the way to a new all-time high, but guess what happens? A full-blown recovery all the way to a new all-time high. So let's pull up Litecoin here. Litecoin is one of my favorite examples because it's an OG altcoin from way back in the day. So to study the Litecoin accumulation is a pretty typical altcoin accumulation before a big bull market. So here's Litecoin in 2014, 2015, 2016, and then of course the massive 2017 pump that was super fun to trade and made myself and a lot of other people a lot of money. So right here, you can see here we have this massive pullback on Horizon. And let's increase time frame on Litecoin too, because we're on the 1 month with Horizon. Let's go to like the 15-day. This cycle's a little bit shorter, so we'll use about half of the same time frame. But this is what an altcoin accumulation looks like, you know. Big pump, big pullback, sideways movement most of the time. Sometimes they just turn around and break out right away, but most of the time sideways movement in preparation for a big breakout again. And when they break out, all those people that think there's no way it's going to go to a new all-time high. You should see some of the comments I get in my videos. People are like, all of these old coins will never go to a new all-time high again. And I'm sitting there thinking, never say never, dude. You have no idea how many people told me that I was stupid for being bullish on Bitcoin at 3,000 per coin after it went to 20,000 and pulled back to 3,000 in 2017 and 2018. But it went all the way up to 69,000 right after. But people told me I was dumb, especially with Ethereum, because, you know, people really hated Ethereum. When Ethereum was worth $80, and I made a video on my YouTube channel telling people, you guys, Ethereum is like a perfect entry down here at $80. It's done a perfect market cycle. It looks like Bitcoin in 2015. There's every reason in the world to be bullish on Ethereum. But people said, no, Ethereum will never recover again. Then Ethereum broke all the way out to a new all-time high. So people say a lot of really dumb stuff. You know, it's just whatever at this point. I'm used to being misunderstood or being called like dumb for being bullish at the bottom. I don't really care at this point, but people definitely get that psychology of the market will never recover again. It's never going to break out, never going to go to a new all-time high again. And because they're thinking like that, they end up making some really, really bad decisions, or at least missing a big opportunity that could change their life in a very significant way. So this is what market cycles do. They pump, they pull back, they go sideways, and then they pump again. Like, that's a very typical altcoin cycle. That's exactly what we see here with Horizon. But also with DOT as well. You wanted me to cover Polkadot. Polkadot's the same thing. Big pump, big pullback, you know. Same thing as what happened to Horizon. Same thing as what happened to Litecoin. There's always subtle differences, you know, like right here. Horizon was more of just a pump with a pullback. DOT has a pump, pullback, pump, and then a drop like that. So there's variations. Horizon has a little bit more of an Amazon.com structure. If you study the Amazon fractal, pull up the Amazon chart here on the NASDAQ. Right, Amazon had that same kind of double top sort of pattern at the top of its cycle here. Comparing these two to get together. Polkadot looks a lot more like the Amazon with the double top kind of pattern there. But it's the same story. And in fact, H-bar, I'm a big H-bar. I'm a big believer in H-bar. Let's pull up the H-bar chart here. Oh, we got to go to the one with all of the data. I think it's on Binance is going to give us the full data. H-bar is really the same thing as Amazon, you know. Buying H-bar right now is a lot like buying Amazon in 2008 when Amazon pulled back from $5 down to $1.75 here. That's exactly like buying H-bar right now. So these fractals repeat themselves. If you don't know what a fractal is, it's super cool. I try to teach these basic principles in as many live streams as I can, because understanding the basic principles is really all you need to have. You don't need to have some crazy degree. You don't need to have some insane mathematical knowledge of, you know, trigonometry or something ridiculous like that. To be a successful trader and investor, you just have to have the basics down better than anybody else. If you can get the basics down better than anybody else, you will be a successful trader and investor, because it's not that complicated. People overcomplicate it and then they're not profitable, or they just don't have any trading knowledge at all and they follow the hype. Their friend tells them about something because it's exciting, and then they buy and it ends up being the top of the cycle. So that's one way people lose, but most of the time people overcomplicate it. They have some basic trading knowledge, but they overcomplicate it and overthink it. But true intelligence is always simple and very, very simple and easy to understand. And if you look right here, a fractal is a very basic, repeating geometric pattern that's the same in the big picture and the little picture. So the microcosm and the macrocosm. Just an example here, we have a classic fractal with a big circle, a little circle, and a littler circle here. So it's a repeating pattern, and this is found all throughout life, all through nature. You have a sunflower, has the same fractal geometry in it. You have a seashell, has the same Fibonacci spiral. So this is literally the mathematics that are found as a constant throughout life. And if you go back over to H bar here, H bar is a fractal of Amazon, right? It's a geometric pattern of human emotion repeating on a different scale. So it's the same pattern. It's just Amazon is more years worth of time to form the same picture than what happened here on H bar. So it's a fractal. It's fractal geometry, and this is something that happens all throughout life. The microcosm and the macrocosm, it's a constant. It's just so cool if you understand this. Galileo said mathematics is a language in which God has written the universe. And that's really true. If you look right here, you can see this Fibonacci spiral in a seashell. You can see in a galaxy, looking at a galaxy. For all you flat earthers out there, I'm sorry if you don't believe in space. But there's a galaxy. You can see the same Fibonacci spiral in a galaxy, or even in weather patterns, the same Fibonacci spiral. So it's a fractal mathematics found all throughout life. Well, the same mathematics appear in these charts. And it's not like you have to be some super intelligent person. You just have to understand that human emotion repeats, and that if you can learn the basics of identifying that human emotion, you can get a really good idea of what's going to happen in the market. And you can take all that fear away, and you can see things as they really are. Because there's no fear in truth, right? Fear only comes from ignorance. Hello, Dallin. Dogecoin, please. Sure, I'll pull up old Dogecoin. Dogecoin is a perfect fractal. This goes along perfectly with what I was just teaching. So let's pull up Dogecoin here on the monthly candlesticks. And then let's pull up Bitcoin, actually. BTC. And we'll go over here to Bitcoin's 2017 and 18 cycle. So this is the same way that I was able to call the bottom on XRP before XRP pumped. Everybody had given up on XRP. They thought it was dead, But this same fractal on Bitcoin was what cued me into the bottom on XRP before XRP saw that big pump that happened, I don't know, last year or whatever when it happened. So if you look right here, Bitcoin in 2017 and 2018 and 2019 and 2020 is exactly like Dogecoin today. And I know people out there are like, Dallin, how can you be bullish on Dogecoin? Elon Musk isn't talking about it very much right now. How could you be bullish on Dogecoin? Because I don't care about the news. I don't care about what's popular or cool. I care about what's true. That's what I care about. And so yeah, I'm bullish on Dogecoin because it's a fractal geometry thing. It's a human emotion thing. And I'm telling you right now, the big institutions, big trading desks, people with billions of dollars, they're not worried about what people think about Dogecoin. They're not worried about whether Dogecoin is cool right now. They're looking at exactly what I'm showing you here. There's a reason that the Wall Street cheat sheet is called the Wall Street cheat sheet, because Wall Street uses fractal geometry to predict markets. And that's really all the market cycle is a fractal of human emotion, a repeating pattern of human emotion appearing in the market over and over and over again. That's all it is. And that's exactly what Dogecoin is doing. Bitcoin was in the disbelief phase of its cycle here in March of 2020. Dogecoin is currently in the disbelief phase of its cycle right now as we speak. It's very simple. And I know that looking on Binance here, it seems like there's no volume, but I assure you there's plenty of volume for Dogecoin. Let's go ahead and pull up Dogecoin on charts.cointrader.pro, which, by the way, if you guys don't own TradingView Pro and you want to be able to look at some of these charts, go to charts.cointrader.pro. You'll get more time frames and stuff. It's almost like having TradingView for free. Very similar to having TradingView for free. And what's cool about charts.cointrader.pro is the fact that this website actually pulls from coinmarketcap.com. And so you can basically use TradingView without ads here. Just make sure that when you look for a coin, you pull up the CoinMarketCap, because there's different exchanges you can pull from. Just make sure it says CoinMarketCap next to it here. But yeah, charts.cointrader.pro is like having TradingView without ads. Like if you don't want to pay for TradingView. Obviously, I have TradingView Pro because I use it every single day. But this is kind of a cool little cheat, little secret for you guys if you don't know. But yeah, if you look here on charts.cointrader.pro, Dogecoin has plenty of volume here if you're pulling from CoinMarketCap, which is pulling across multiple exchanges. So this is what I mean, people. People get bearish, they sell, they get afraid, they panic sell into the dip, they freak out where they should be buying. It's the same story over and over again. The way to know whether you should be buying or selling is to understand the human psychology of the market. That's how you need to think about this market, because that's what the big players are doing. So that's my view on Dogecoin. I fully expect a recovery here for Dogecoin in the big picture. There is no live show without talking about Dogecoin. I love Dogecoin actually. I'm a big Dogecoin fan myself, even if a lot of people don't like it. Tam Tam says, I learned so much from you, Dallin. Thank you for the way you explain things. I appreciate you. Well, thank you. What are your thoughts between E-hex versus P-hex? I'm probably bigger on P-hex than E-hex. I'm not saying E-hex can't have a run. Not saying it's not possible to see a run on E-hex as well. But if I was to, let's say I wanted to invest $30,000 today, I'd probably put 80% in P-hex over E-hex. And I'm not saying E-hex is bearish, but that's just, it makes more sense to do that. Please do cubic analysis. Sure. And by the way, thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. Cubic. Crypto. I think you mean cubic. There we go. Let's see here. Let's isolate this single chart and go to the daily time frame here for cubic. So this is a big accumulation as well. In fact, this is a massive falling wedge pattern here for a cubic. So we have a big wedge structure, downward trending resistance, right, with support levels as well. So this is a big falling wedge here for cubic. So this is a pretty typical kind of accumulation pattern for a market. This is actually, speaking of like hex and e-hex and pulse chain and all those kinds of things, this is actually basically what pulse chain is doing, for the people out there that are big into pulse chain. Same thing, really. So that's actually a really good bullish pattern to see. This is actually what cued me into XMR's bottom too. So when XMR bottomed in let's see, it would have been 2019 or something like that. Let's pull up Monero here. What cued me into the XMR bottom was a big falling wedge as well, which XMR loves these falling wedge patterns. You can see this wedge right here. And they can take different shapes and sizes and have different angles. Like some wedges are really steep like this, really steep. Other wedges are longer and more horizontal and less of a steep angle to them. Almost more like a descending triangle that ends up breaking up instead of down. But yeah, these falling wedges are huge in crypto. They happen all the time. This is what happened to Bitcoin too. Bitcoin in 2018, when Bitcoin bottomed, it was the same thing. It did a falling wedge pattern. If you look at Bitcoin here, Bitcoin did a falling wedge right here. See? And even right here, the FTX drop was a big wedge as well for Bitcoin. So these wedges are pretty typical structure in the market. So let's go back over to Cubic here. Good old Cubic. And finish talking about Cubic. So this is a big falling wedge for Cubic. We're at the bottom support level too. So this would be like, so in a trading range, whether it's a horizontal range like this, at the bottom of that range, the worst thing you could do is sell. The smartest thing you could do is buy. At the top of a range, the worst thing you could do is buy, and the smartest thing you could do is sell. Well, falling wedges are trading ranges. They're just an angled trading range. So right now, Cubic is at the bottom of a trading range. So this is where liquidity, this is where buy orders should be placed, is right here, right now on Cubic. It would be like buying right here, or even buying right here. So the bottom of those trading ranges is extremely intelligent to be placing your orders and to be putting capital in at those prices at the bottom of a range. This is the same thing that's happening to Litecoin too. Let's pull up Litecoin here. Litecoin is at the bottom of a trading range right now as we speak. We have this upward channel right here, you can see, on Litecoin, and we're at the bottom of that trading range. So this is why I say the worst thing you could do is sell support. That's why I hopped on a live stream today, because I was like, people are going to be selling. People are afraid of a government shutdown. People are freaking out because of a daily candlestick that's red. So I was like, I need to hop on a live stream because from a technical analysis perspective, this is the best possible place you could be buying, like across the board with all of these coins. We have the best risk to reward, the most, we're seriously the best place you could possibly be buying right now. So people need to be aware of that right now and not freak out. Let's see what the fear and greed index says too. I'm kind of curious. Right now we're only at 26, but last week we were in extreme fear, which is pretty bullish. But we're not in greed. People think this is a time that the market's in euphoria or greed. People are saying we're at the top of a market. We're not at the top of a market. I've never seen a market top out in fear. That's ridiculous. That's just a totally backwards way of thinking of what the truth is, right? Let's do a theta analysis. I don't know if anybody asked me to do theta yet. Let's see if there's anybody that did. I don't know. I don't think so. But I want to Oh, right as I say that, theta price prediction 26 through 27, or for the end of the cycle. Conscious Contact, what is up? Thank you for taking some time to tune into today's live stream. So yeah, let's pull up theta. And by the way, I covered theta in comparison to silver in my previous video on it that I made like yesterday, I believe. So go check out my theta video if you want more in depth on theta. But theta is the same thing. Theta is in depression right now. So this is euphoria up here. This is depression. I know I sound like a broken record because every time people tell me to cover theta, I say that same thing. But you guys, it's still in depression. It's still just as undervalued as it was the last time that I talked about it. So let's pull up theta up here on the top, and let's just pull up, like, for example, Bitcoin here in 2015, okay? Bitcoin in 2015 did the same thing that theta's doing, okay? Same big euphoric run, same massive pullback, same sideways accumulation down here. People think it's dead. People think it's never going to recover, and it's in depression of the cycle. So what's my price prediction for theta by 2026 or 2027? I think by 2027, we could easily be worth $56 per coin, around $50. That's basing it on the Ethereum fractal. So if we pull up Ethereum over here on the right, and we'll keep theta over here on the left. So here's theta on the left, and let's pull up Ethereum up here on the right. So here's the Ethereum fractal, okay? And basically what we can do is we can take the trend-based Fibonacci extension tool here, and we click on the bottom of the chart up to the top of the chart and pull back down to the low that was formed right here. So from this point to that point and back down. And what that gives us is extensions, Fibonacci-based extensions where the market can go before it tops out. And what we can do is we can see, oh, well, Ethereum topped out at just above the 3618 Fibonacci extension. So it broke out all the way to a new all-time high and went to the 3618 Fibonacci extension before its next major bear market. And we can do the same thing with theta here. We can take our trend-based Fibonacci extension tool, click on the bottom, go up to the top, back down to that bottom point right here, and then zoom out on the chart here and line these charts up. So this is why I say by 2027, theta could easily be worth $56 or even a little bit more, because the 3618 is $57 per theta by 2027. You can see this big pump right here, big pump like this. By 2027, theta can easily be worth $57 per coin. This is why you have to zoom out and look at the big picture. This is why you have to understand the market cycle. This is why you have to ignore the news. This is why you have to go against the crowd. This is why you have to buy the dip. Because the profit potential here from where we're at right now at 25 cents per theta coin up to 40 or $57, you're talking about a massive increase in value. You know, you're talking about being able to put $1,000 into something and come out with like 100K or more potentially in profit from buying right here to where it's going to go. Where else are you going to get that type of a gain? You know, I'm bullish on silver. I'm bullish on gold. I have been for a long time now because of market cycle analysis and stuff. And I love silver and gold. I think they're awesome, like really cool, you know. But silver, from the bottom of its recent cycle to the top here, is 8 times your money. It's not 50 times or 100 times like you can make on an altcoin in the big picture buying the bottom of those market cycles. We're only up 8 times. So as excited as people are about silver, and as many people are giving up on crypto, because they're excited about silver or gold, those same people are forgetting that crypto is where they're going to get the 50 times, the 40 times, 100 times return on their investment. You're not going to get that from silver or gold. And that's not a popular opinion, but it's a true opinion. It's not even opinion, it's a true statement, right? So yeah, so you just got to stay focused on the big picture. But with theta, I could easily see $57 per theta by 2027 pretty easily. If you want one of these cool theta hats that I'm wearing in today's video, or stream, I mean, check in the description box below. You can get one of these really cool theta hats or even theta t-shirts for $30. That's shipping included in the US, and I'll ship it right to your house. Snapback hat, so it works with any size. I've got multiple sizes of t-shirts, except for I don't have small and I don't have XXL, but I have large and XL, and mediums as well. So if you guys are interested in getting a really cool theta t-shirt or theta hat before theta pumps all the way up to $57 per coin in the next couple of years, check in the description box below and get yourself a t-shirt or a hat. Any XMR update? Thank you, Dallin. Yeah, XMR. Oh, and by the way, 902 Johnson, I agree. Silver isn't done. I'm not saying silver's done. It'll probably go higher. Silver and gold will probably both go higher before they top out. You know, I'm not trying to say that silver and gold are like bad investments. They're good investments. I'm just talking about percentage gain. Silver is not going to give you an altcoin percentage gain. The market cap is too big. It's not like a new technology that's highly volatile like internet stocks or crypto. It's not going to give you the type of percentage gain that buying theta will. So for the people that are selling their crypto to FOMO buy silver and gold, even though silver and gold will probably keep going up in the big picture, you guys are kind of missing the point of investing, which is to get good opportunities. And the opportunity in silver and gold is good, but it's not altcoin good. It's not crypto big picture by the bottom of a market cycle good. It can't change your life in a way where you were working at a Marriott hotel, you know, like I was when I was 17 and 18 years old, and I bought my first Bitcoin, and then by the time I was 21, making almost $1 million at 21 years old. That's crypto gains. You're not going to do that on silver or gold. They're good investments. Buy them by all means, you know, especially if you're holding super long term. Just accumulate, especially the dips, you know, the pullbacks on gold and silver accumulate. They're going to grow big picture over the long term, guaranteed. But don't take all your crypto out to do it like a lot of people are doing. The worst thing you can do right now is sell support indeed. That's why you needed to sell resistance, but it's too late for that now. All you can do is hope the support doesn't break. So good luck, guys. Yeah, I agree. The worst thing you can do is sell support. It's a perfect time to be buying support. But yeah, Tom, I'll pull up XMR and cover XMR for you as well. So XMR on Bitfinex. Let me pull up good old Bitfinex here. We did pull back a little bit here as we broke above our old all-time high. Nothing to be afraid of, though. XMR is so freaking bullish. It's crazy. So let's pull up XMR on the left here, and we'll pull up NVIDIA over here on the right. And I am on Bitfinex, so it looks like there's no volume. But if you go across all of the different exchanges, there's plenty of volume on XMR. Plenty of volume. But let's pull up XMR here in the big picture. By the way, XMR was a VIP call. I called it, well, I've been calling it for a while since the bottom down here at 126. But I also made another significant update down here at $250 before it pumped all the way to an all-time high. So, and the reason I was able to kind of cue into that move for XMR was the NVIDIA fractal. So let's pull up NVIDIA here, and let's zoom in to NVIDIA here. And really, XMR, you guys, this is what I mean by big picture accumulation. How I was talking about this at the start of this live stream, teaching a little bit about what an accumulation is, talking about hex. I believe I was covering hex at the time. That's exactly what XMR is doing. Big picture accumulation. Now, it's a different structure than the hex accumulation pattern that I was covering at the start of this stream, but it's the same type of accumulation in terms of being an accumulation cycle rather than a distribution cycle. So this right here is NVIDIA before NVIDIA just went totally parabolic into the moon. And here is XMR over here on the left. So this breakout that we're starting to see on XMR, even though we pulled back to support right here, is part of a bigger pattern, a bigger pump that's coming due to a big accumulation that happened here in the big picture. So just looking at these charts side by side here, you can see XMR starting something very big. Now, crypto is highly volatile, so pullback from 799 back down to 456, or our previous old all-time high support level. Totally normal, not outside of what crypto does to see a pullback like that after an all-time high breakout. But what I don't think it's going to do is go like this, like some people are calling. That first of all, it looks ridiculous. It doesn't even look like it's going to happen. Second of all, based on the accumulation, XMR has been accumulating since 2017. Just like how NVIDIA accumulated over multiple years, new technology, ready to pump, ready to break out, ready to go to the moon. But it had to accumulate in a big accumulation cycle before it went to the moon. Same thing is true for XMR. Same exact thing. So yeah, I'm super bullish on XMR. I'm bullish on Zcash too. So I'm not like pinning those coins against each other. Fact of the matter is, crypto is ready to do exactly what happened to the internet, as the internet became something everybody uses, and home computing. Everybody has a home computer. Everybody uses the internet every day. That's what's coming for crypto. That's why the structures look exactly the same. It's because that's what's coming for crypto. Frequency says if I buy in FOMO accumulation is hell. Yeah, you definitely don't want to FOMO into stuff, but we're pretty undervalued, so I wouldn't freak out about anything. Crypto Durgan says, can you do TA on PD or PTGC? Sure. PTDC or PT. Let's see here. Where was it? I lost it. PT. I don't know how I lost this. I don't know how I lost your request here. Oh, there we go. PTGC. That's right. Oh yeah, the Grace currency. Yeah, I know a little bit about this. So this is a typical crypto market cycle. Look at this. Huge pump, big pullback. This is a big ABC correction here for this coin. So here's wave A, B, and C. This is what crypto does. Big accumulation, big pump, big ABC corrections, and then it will reaccumulate like this, and then pump like that. This is what crypto does. And by the way, decreasing price and volume is bullish. So we have decreasing price here and decreasing volume. That's actually a sign of accumulation. That's a sign of bullishness. So at some point soon, this is gonna bottom out down here. And usually, a lot of times with altcoins, they'll bottom out at the 92% retracement. So if we pull up the Fibonacci tool here and we just add a 0.92, they'll bottom out at the 92% retracement, which is exactly where we're at right now. We're at the 92% retracement. So I suspect this will bottom soon, like very soon. And we'll see something like this, potentially a double bottom like this, and then you'll see money coming back in the other direction. So this looks good down here, very undervalued, a good place to be buying, and a good place to buy at a very cheap price before a big reversal. 808 Buddha says, I had to get a phone call. Did we do Telcoin? I haven't covered Telcoin yet, but by the way, thank you for always commenting on my Twitter posts and for all of the support. I appreciate it, 808. So let's pull up Telcoin here. Telcoin, something I'm super bullish on. I'm a big Telcoin supporter, big believer in Telcoin. And really it's the perfect fractal, like we talked about fractals at the start of the stream, comparing theta to Ethereum, but also Telcoin is the same comparison. So let's pull up Telcoin here, and we'll go to Telcoin on Coinbase here. Ethereum on Coinbase. And this is the same fractal. This is a crypto cycle. That's what this is. Now, when I say that, I want to have a quick disclaimer. This isn't just what crypto does. It's a fractal of human emotion. So the same type of patterns appear even if you go look at cannabis stocks right now. Cannabis industry right now, super undervalued. Like perfect opportunity. We had a big bubble in 2018 in the cannabis industry. Right now, buying cannabis stocks, super smart. Same type of patterns in a lot of those cannabis stocks. Even 3D printers, 3D printing technology had a big bubble. It popped, and it's a lot like the opportunity that we see in crypto right now. So it's not just crypto. We have cannabis stocks, super, super undervalued, perfect opportunity to buy cannabis stocks. 3D printer companies, perfect opportunity to buy 3D printing companies. Crypto, perfect opportunity. So it's the same psychology. It's human psychology appearing in these markets over and over again. And buying Telcoin right now is a lot like buying Ethereum down here at $260, like right here before Ethereum went all the way to the moon. That's exactly what it's like to buy Telcoin right now, down here at 0.003 cents. Are you kidding me? Look how cheap that is. It's awesome. That's such a good entry for Telcoin, especially considering the fact that a new all-time high is highly, highly probable. We're talking a break above 0.06 here. Highly probable. So you're talking about an insane percentage gain on the upside with very little risk because we already retraced significantly from our peak. So the risk is very low down here and the reward is very high on the upside. So I'm very excited about Telcoin. Big believer in Telcoin. Do you believe this cycle top 2026 quarter 4, 2027 quarter 1? I think it will be between 2027 and 2029. We'll have to see how the structure takes place, how long it takes to pump, how parabolic it is. The market could be super parabolic and top out by 2027. The one thing I don't think is going to happen, which I guess it could, but I don't think it's going to happen, is a top this year. I think this year will be super bullish, but I don't think it will be topping out this year. But by 2027, 2028, and for sure by 2029, crypto will be topped out for sure in this next cycle. And it is an extended cycle. It is a bigger cycle. I know a lot of people think 4-year cycle is the end all be all. Go study about cycles. Go read a good web page. Go ask ChatGPT for all I care. ChatGPT will tell you that it's extremely common for cycles for a bigger cycle to take over. And not that the 4-year cycle didn't ever happen, but that a bigger cycle takes over and overrides a smaller cycle. That's extremely common inside of markets. And in fact, I've been talking about NVIDIA here quite a bit, and NVIDIA is a perfect example of exactly that. NVIDIA has this cyclical action here happening where we have a pump, a pullback, a pump, a pullback. People think, this is what's going to happen forever. This is how people feel about altcoins right now. They think it's just going to make like a sine wave, or it's going to look like the ocean for forever. Like, a lot of people think this about the crypto markets, like it's just going to do 4-year cycles until, Jesus comes back or something. And it's like, you guys, are you serious? That's not going to happen. You can see here with NVIDIA, we had 2 cycles here and then broke out because a bigger cycle we were overwritten by a bigger cycle. It had more power, more force than the previous 2 cycles and completely took over, and we had a big mass adoption here for NVIDIA. And the same is true for what's coming for crypto. Same exact thing. Crypto Durgan says, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Well, thank you. I appreciate you tuning in to these live streams. I'm going to keep making crypto content. People are giving up. People are so bearish right now. But I just see so much opportunity that it'd be so dumb for me not to do these streams, especially since it's going to change my life and you guys' lives significantly. Financially, we're going to make a lot of money. So I'm not going to stop doing these live streams. The opportunity is insane. And so, yeah, I'm going to keep doing it, Let's see here. Fraternal greetings, brother from Texas. Just dropped in to say hello, so mote it be. Well, thank you, brother, and fraternally to you as well. So mote it be, my friend. Do you believe the Oh, I already read that one. Cheap or just a predicted funeral? I think you're trolling. How will the finalized U.S. project crypto regulation and potential Senate-passed market structure legislation impact DeFi anonymity? So, most of the regulatory stuff happening with crypto is going to ultimately be good. First of all, crypto is pretty under-regulated. So crypto is not heavily regulated, which is good. It's like the internet. You don't want something to be extremely regulated. It's bad when there's a lot of regulation with new technologies. You want people to be able to screw around. You want it to be kind of like the wild, wild west. That's where we get the best ideas. That's where we get the best innovations, is when stuff is more like the wild, wild west, right? So crypto doesn't have very much regulation, and I believe it's going to overall continue to be like that. The little bit of regulation that we could get will probably be beneficial more than anything else. As far as anonymity and stuff goes, anonymity is going to continue. They really can't stop it. It's like trying to stop Tor browser or trying to stop, it's open source technology. They really can't stop the anonymity aspect of crypto. They can't even stop crypto. The jack is out of the box, First of all, let's say you're America and you decide to stop supporting crypto. Well, crypto is a new developing technology like the internet. So if you stop supporting crypto, now all of a sudden China's economy becomes stronger than the US's economy because new technologies are good for the economy. So even governments are not incentivized to ban crypto, to stop crypto. Governments are incentivized to promote crypto, really, because that's how they're going to continue to hold their position of power in connection to other countries. So it's pretty important to think of those types of things as well. So that's kind of my view on the regulatory stuff, Courtney. And by the way, thank you again for tuning in. But in the wild, wild west, everything can happen. That's true. Why do you think so many internet companies failed? But the ones that succeeded, everybody knows about, Or computer companies. Like, I love Apple. Apple is one of my favorite companies. You guys might not like it. I don't really care. I love Apple. It's awesome. Apple succeeded. Steve Jobs was very, very wild, wild west in the way that he did stuff, you know. Um, so yeah, that's true. Some of these cryptos will go to zero, and other ones will succeed in ways that people cannot possibly dream of right now. And that's just the reality of life. Hi, Dallin. What are your thoughts when articles say quantum computing will end crypto and Ethereum by 2030? Any truth to this? What people forget is crypto is based on a mathematical algorithm that is proportionate to computing power. So, quantum computing, it's impossible for crypto to be destroyed by quantum computing because because you guys, the the when you're mining for crypto, you're solving a mathematical equation based on the processing power that you have available in your miners. So if quantum computing happens, all you have to do is change the mining process to where it makes a bigger, harder to solve mathematical problem proportionate to the computing power that's available at the time. And then all of a sudden, it's equally as hard to solve that hash as it would be to solve a hash with our current computing power. So the math is simple. All you have to do is increase the problem, the difficulty to solve the hash by making it a bigger hash, a bigger string to solve than what we currently have with Bitcoin. So it's a simple update, And also new technologies like quantum computing. Crypto is ahead of quantum computing in terms of adoption. Quantum computing has time before it's adopted by the public. There's still some major things that have to be solved for quantum computing to be something everybody uses, whereas crypto doesn't really have that much stuff to solve for everybody to use it every day. So crypto will be adopted before quantum computing is. And even once quantum computing is adopted, it's not going to end crypto. We'll just have quantum hashes. You just have a bigger string that takes more computing power to solve, proportionate to the processing power that's available. It's a simple equation. So people are stupid. Basically, a lot of people don't understand the science of all of this. But whatever. You're not worried about theta. No, I'm not worried about this stupid lawsuit. Go look into it. These guys, it's so ridiculous. Like, they're trying to say that he was like discriminating based on sex, like as if Mitch is waking up every day and saying, "Oh, I'm not going to hire you because you're a female," or "I'm not going to hire you because you're a man." Like, Mitch was not doing that kind of stuff. He's focused on his vision, like he's building real technology for the world. It's literally just a couple of haters that are ex-employees that want to get back at him, that are trying to make some money somehow, and they think that they can maybe do it, and so they're going for the risk because they see that there's a potential reward. It's the stupidest lawsuit ever. So no, I'm not afraid of the Theta lawsuit at all. And if you love Theta, check in the description box below. I'm selling Theta t-shirts and Theta hats for $30 a piece, shipping included in the US. They're pretty dope, not gonna lie. Pure traction, or let's see, pure right action. I don't know how to say your name. Anyways, I already covered theta analysis earlier on in the stream, so go rewatch this live stream and find where I cover theta, because I already kind of went in depth on theta. So, are you still bullish on AVAX? I am super bullish on AVAX. AVAX is probably one of my top 10 most bullish cryptos. Not in terms of percentage gain, like you could buy some cheap meme coin somewhere and potentially make way more percentage gain, like you might make, 300 times your investment, whereas AVAX might only give you 50 times, But in terms of guaranteed play with a perfect technical setup, I'm super bullish on AVAX. Let's pull up Bitcoin over here on the right, and we'll keep AVAX over here on the left. And Bitcoin, the AVAX fractal is the same as the Bitcoin fractal right here. So here's Bitcoin, big pump, big pullback, big double bottom, big recovery. That's exactly what AVAX is currently doing. A big pump, big pullback, big double bottom, big recovery is coming for this coin in a significant way. So this is the disbelief phase of the market cycle. So here's disbelief on Bitcoin here in March of 2020 during the COVID drop. That was a disbelief phase. And this is the disbelief phase on AVAX as well in terms of the market cycle. So this is really where we turn around in a significant way on the upside, where we do get a full recovery and where we do get a massive parabolic run for this coin. And I'm very confident that that's exactly what's coming for this. All right, cool. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm going to call it a stream. I appreciate every single one of you. I love you. I look forward to seeing you guys in future live streams and in future videos. If you guys enjoyed this stream and found it valuable, do me a favor and share it with your friends. Tell them about my channel. There's a lot of things coming. I want to grow my channel to at least 100K subscribers. It would just be cool to do that, especially with the big pump that's coming. It'd be really cool to get to 100K. It's been something I've been wanting to do for a while. So tell your friends about my channel. And yeah, I will see you guys in future videos and in future live streams. And as always, stay profitable out there.